I'm Pat Thurston. We've been talking about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Part of what his goal was, his struggle, had to do with economic injustice. And, that continues today, and one of the evidences of it is sometimes what people at the top do to the little guy. Wells Fargo comes to mind. Joining us in studio right now is Kevin Pham. Is it Pham or Pham?
Pham, P-H-A-M.
Pham, P-H-A-M. And Kevin is here to talk with us about Wells Fargo because he worked for Wells Fargo and he quit his job after witnessing some of the questionable practices at the bank. Kevin, thanks for being here today. What can you tell us about what was going on at Wells Fargo?
So what I saw at Wells Fargo was the economic injustice that you were just speaking about in your former segment. What I saw was a bank that was victimizing the most vulnerable people in our society.
How?
Basically, they would look for people that were financially illiterate, hard of hearing, not native English speakers, immigrants, college students, the elderly, and to trick them into opening accounts that they did not want or did not need in order to hit their quotas and get their bonuses. And this was a major part of Wells Fargo's business, and it went on for, I would say, decades.
And so as a result, what happened that people had bank accounts that they didn't know they had. There were accounts that were opened in their names that existed, but they hadn't opened them. And was there any money in those accounts?
Sometimes, most of the time, there was no money, but what would happen is the account requirements would require you to have money. If not, you get charged fees. So a lot of people get confused. They get charged fees, get negative balances, use the wrong debit card, get charged $35 overdraft fees, and get into the negative. And then you have people that are already economically disadvantaged, falling into a negative situation, falling into a debt spiral to where they can't get out. And it's a kind of a perverse way that our economic system, our banking system, is designed to where poor people pay the most for financial services.
So was this a policy that came from the top at Wells Fargo? We're going to open bogus accounts?
Yeah, so they had this slogan, this rallying cry called "Going for Great," which would mean that we want to sell every single customer 8 products, no matter if, regardless, it seems if you had the assets to support that amount of products. So it was just a one-size-fits-all thing, and they kind of used it to kind of show growth and sales and whatnot when there was really nothing backing those accounts.
Did management know, or did management order? I mean, did management say or open accounts whether they realize what they're doing and whether they could really use the accounts or not? Or did management just simply turn a blind eye? Or did management not even realize what lower level employees were doing?
I think it's a little bit of everything above.
Yeah.
But on the ground floor when I was working in the branches, it was mostly, hear no evil, speak no evil, say no evil. Everybody knew what was going on,
Right.
but nobody would say it explicitly because then you would kind of implicate yourself, and you wouldn't have you wouldn't be able to deny it if a customer would try to allege that somebody was trying to scam somebody.
How much did Wells Fargo reap from this fraud?
I don't have the hard numbers, but they became the most valuable bank in the country at one time.
Because of these practices?
Yeah, in my opinion, because of these practices. So there was a large, windfall for the people in the top. But thankfully, I was a sympathizer of the Occupy Wall Street movement, and the 2009 financial crisis left a bad taste in my mouth, and I did not want it to happen again, and I was seeing it happen again, because Wells Fargo was known as the safe bank at the time. So I took action. I stood in front of headquarters and I held a sign that said "Close your account," and I took a picture, wrote a post about it, went viral, 51,000 shares. I was able to spread the news because I know how banks work and they're beholden to their shareholders. So theoretically, if we all take action, one small action, everybody closes their account, we can kind of make them beholden to the American public again.
So you were the whistleblower.
There was a lot of whistleblowers. I was just one of them, and my action was subsequent to when the allegations surfaced, and there was, a Senate hearing, and seeing John Stumpf basically absolve himself of responsibility in front of Senator Warren during that Senate hearing is when I felt the need to take action. So I did the post, and it went viral, and it looked like it scared them because subject to the fact the CEO resigned and returned his bonus. So that's kind of an example of a direct action, very effective action. And I think that this trend is accelerating in the term of in reference to this new thing you may have heard called Bitcoin.
Okay, now you're making a connection that completely perplexes me.
Mhm.
So are you saying, are you an activist who is taking a position that we should all shrug off the banking industry as it currently exists in this country and that we should embrace Bitcoin?
So first and foremost, I need to be transparent that I am an owner of Bitcoin. So you should take that into account, and you should be skeptical of anybody who tells you to buy any type of financial product. Second, you should not make any decisions in which you have not educated yourself. So just to set the
Okay, so you've made disclaimers
yes,
here.
I made disclaimers.
Okay, but your advice would typically be get your money out of the bank, put it into Bitcoin.
So let me phrase it this way. You can vote with your money. What I've learned is that money makes.
You need to answer me
Okay,
directly.
okay.
Because you're not.
Okay.
It's nice to have the phraseology,
Mhm.
but okay, so I have a Wells Fargo bank account.
Okay.
Let's just assume that.
Okay.
I have a certain amount of money in checking and savings, and I have a mortgage.
Mhm.
You think that's not very bright because you think that the banking industry is rigged and that it's taking advantage of its customers, consumers, American citizens, and that there's a better thing that we can do.
Yes. So
Okay, you said
I
yes, all right,
I
that's
agree
good.
with that, and based on what I'm doing is the majority of my money is in Bitcoin. And the point that I'm trying to make is that now you have a choice. If you do not agree with this system, there are alternatives out there in which you can put your money to make your voice heard economically.
But how does Bitcoin and Wells Fargo, they're not the same thing. I mean, Wells Fargo, I have a checking
Yes.
account, I have my ATM card, I can take money out, I can pay
Yes,
for the things
so
I pay for.
Bitcoin is more similar to a currency like gold or
Right.
the dollars or euros.
Which is not a bank.
No,
So I can't get a mortgage through Bitcoin.
no, no.
So I don't understand what the relationship is to the bank, that if I don't like Wells Fargo and I think they're taking advantage of me, that Bitcoin is somehow the solution.
Yes, so Bitcoin is,
It's my investment solution?
it's your currency solutions, it's at a higher level. So basically,
My currency solution.
Yes.
So I should abandon the US dollar.
if that aligns with your beliefs, then it is an option that you can take.
You talk around things.
Well, so the one thing that is happening in the space is that there's a lot of people that are being scammed and misled with all these different types. There's a lot of different types of Bitcoins out there, little cryptocurrencies. And what I'm trying to teach people is that you should be skeptical and do your own research while taking into account what other people are telling you. Because
But ultimately, you're saying that the US dollar, is not as valuable as Bitcoin?
so the way that I look at it is that the United States dollar is meant to serve 350 million people, basically, right? It's the currency of
people
the
of
United
this
States.
country.
Yes. So what Bitcoin is an open source currency that's based on internet technology. It's built using open source software code that everybody can audit. And in the code, it says that there will be no more than 21 million Bitcoin. So you don't have to trust or take anybody's word with it. You can actually audit the code yourself and see the rules of the system. So what it tries to do is it tries to use computer code to recreate gold in a digital fashion.
All right, we're gonna come back
Sure.
and talk about this, because it sounds to me like what we're talking about is virtual currency.
Yes.
And to me, that's a video game.
Yep. Yep.
We'll come back and talk about it.
Sure.
All right, if you have questions, comments, concerns, you wanna know about Bitcoin, give us a call. Kevin Pham is my guest, Phan. Kevin Pham, I'm Pat Thurston, and you're listening to KGO. So should I say that you are with Bitcoin? Or, I mean, Kevin Pham.
So Bitcoin is not an organization. It's actually, it's like saying you're with the internet. It's a technology protocol that allows you to move.
You said something about what your relationship is to Bitcoin.
So I own it personally.
All right, so what we're gonna do in this segment
Mhm.
is, you're going to be really clear.
Okay.
And you're gonna tell me
Okay.
what Bitcoin is.
Mhm.
Pretend that I don't really know anything
Okay.
about the internet.
Okay.
And just explain to me why Bitcoin is an alternative. And then also how somebody uses Bitcoin. Okay, so we're gonna do what, and we're gonna do how, and we're gonna do why.
Okay.
Okay. And we're gonna have about 8 minutes to
Okay.
get that done.
All right. So gotta be.
Okay. Oh,
Something your listeners really need to hear.
Yeah. I apologize if I'm not being as short and direct.
okay, so I was asking about like banks.
Mhm.
You say central banking, and maybe that's the term that I should use, central banking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what Bitcoin is, it's decentralized. So no one controls it. So no one entity controls it. So it's everyone who has like stake in it.
Yeah, so the thing is that the US dollar is that we actually don't have much say. The Federal Reserve is not a democratic organization. These are representatives that are appointed. And it seems like they arbitrarily make decisions that we don't know how they do it, and it just seems very opaque. Whereas Bitcoin is the complete opposite. It's an open source software. For example, you look at a website, you can look at the code of the website to see how it works. And you can copy that and adjust it to make the website do different things. Bitcoin is like that for money, where everybody sees the rules and everybody sees the code, and they can all download this currency.
If it's so open, again, my concern might be, is it susceptible to fraud and hacking?
Theoretically, it is, but in practice, one of the benefits of open source code is everybody can look at it. So basically, you have could be millions of people looking at the code, experts in software security, and they can either all try to hack it, and the fact that it's open makes it even more secure, because there's millions, maybe eventually billions of eyeballs on it to improve it. So it's like a global group project to where we all benefit off of it by contributing whatever we can to it, and it's not limited to the United States. Anybody with a computer can have it. Basically, they're going through hyperinflation in Venezuela. The tech savvy in that community, they're running to Bitcoin, and the people that to save their wealth or savings, the people that aren't are eating out of the trash. I just saw a video of a bunch of Venezuelans taking down a cow to get it for meat. In Zimbabwe, Mugabe just got removed by the military, and I think the currency is collapsing again, and
So Bitcoin is the solution to world peace.
it can help us get there. It's a yes, yeah. The thing is, control over currency is a very powerful tool. You can enslave people with it If you constantly deflate it, then people have to keep on working. You know, they don't have any leisure time or ability to take part in civic action because they're working 80 hours a week.
All right, well, we're gonna do this on the air.
Yeah, so,
Now,
yeah,
let's try to be succinct
okay.
because the time goes fast.
Yep,
these
yep.
days.
A cup of Phil's coffee 6 months ago was $4, and it went up to $4.50.
Yeah, no.
Hyperinflation in America. Took me to sleep.
And Bitcoin can resolve inflation?
Good question.
Good evening, I'm Pat Thurston. Kevin Pham's in studio with me. He's explaining Bitcoin and why Bitcoin is the solution to world peace. It's going to solve inflation. I think it's going to make everybody live happily ever after. And I am kind of confused by this because it sounds to me that what we're talking about is virtual money. It's something that's not really real, that exists on the internet. There's open sourcing, open code sourcing, so it's open to everybody to look at and to monitor, and to me it seems as if that's really susceptible to fraud and hacking. But, you know, before I get to my real skepticism, I need to understand better what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen pictures of coins. Is that what Bitcoin is? Do you own a bunch of these things? You got a pocket full of Bitcoin?
Nope, there is no physical Bitcoins. It's just a.
So these are just illustrations?
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
just for artistic purposes. Okay, so what is it?
Okay. So in order to understand Bitcoin, you first have to understand money. I found that the majority of people do not understand money correctly. So my intuition is mostly people believe that either money is tied legally through government decree, that this is the currency. You will use it to pay for debts, private and public. You have to use it to pay for your taxes legally, or you go to jail. Second, or
I don't know that that's the case.
Okay.
What I think is
the
that,
second one is that it's backed by something tangible.
no, I think
Okay.
what people believe is that it is that you can't mint your own money, that
Okay.
you can't make your own money
Okay.
in this country.
Okay. So yes.
Because
So
then
that
you'd be competing with the United States Treasury.
yes. So technically, I don't believe there's a law that says that you cannot create your own competing currency. But what has happened is that the government doesn't like competition in that space, so they will use something, for example, a money laundering law or a banking license law to stop you from creating your own currency. So
You're going to crash our economy is what you're going to do. You're going to crash this currency so that the U.S. dollar is worthless.
okay, so then, I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, let me go back to explaining what Bitcoin is. So my definition of money is that it's a natural human behavior. It's a natural creation that humans create out of necessity in order to trade with strangers or people they don't trust, in order to exchange for goods and services. So you look at
But it's generally standardized. It's a standardized form of exchange.
Yes. So
that
the
has
question
value,
is
that has a specific
Yes.
value
So
for every denomination.
the question is who's determining that standard, and that determining entity has changed over time. So in the beginning, it came about naturally. So it'd be salt or beaver pelts or shells, wampum, tally sticks. And then eventually, for whatever reason, we, as a society with no government decree, decided gold.
Because Alexander Hamilton created the Department of Treasury. He
Oh.
became the first treasurer of the United States.
Yes, through government decree. But prior to that, gold was the standard, and
Right.
it backed all
And it backed all of
currencies.
our currency
Yes.
for a long time.
Yes, until I believe Nixon officially took us off
The
the
gold
gold standard
standard.
in the 70s, which actually
Right.
is a very recent thing. So that is the thing. So then basically what Bitcoin is, it is an open source consensual version of that, to where people freely and consensually came to an agreement in order to coordinate that gold was going to be the world's currency. What's happening right now is with the internet a anonymous founder created a computer code that recreated the traits of gold in that it's scarce. And there's an open source code that says there will not ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So everybody reads the open source code and downloads that software and agrees to run this software to where no one can create more Bitcoin. So what has happened over 9 years, Bitcoin was founded in 2009 during the depths and in a response to the financial crisis, that people globally, consensually on the internet agreed that this open source software that limits a certain currency will be a standard of value, and millions of people are using it today.
Okay, why is Bitcoin valued in dollars?
Because as it stands right now, the United States dollar is the global reserve currency and the unit of account.
How do you get Bitcoin? Don't you have to pay US dollars for it?
Yes. So then,
This is
well, you
just
can.
like Candy Crush.
So
You know, buying my gold bars on Candy Crush. It's the
there
same
are
thing. I
people-
don't really get gold bars. It just says
Uh-huh.
I have these gold bars that I can spend on the game.
Yeah. So,
So
but
what game can you use to buy things with Bitcoin?
so to that point, the dollar is a digital currency as well. It's just numbers in the central
It's
reserve
just
database.
global, and it's used for everything.
Yeah,
Everybody-
so-
and-
so
and-
if you-
and
so
in
if-
this country, I think you have to accept
Yeah, so
US
so
currency.
so basically, the dollar and Bitcoin, they're both digital currencies. The only difference is that me personally, I freely choose as a free human being
Wait,
to.
it's a little different. A digital
Mm.
currency is one that is virtual. The dollar
Mm.
is tangible. It's actually, there's a physical entity there. There's dollars.
At-
I have them in my purse. I can show them to you.
It's a representation of a
You don't
dollar.
have a Bitcoin in your pocket.
I can.
You can make one. You can go print one out.
Yeah,
I could print one out too, but it would be worthless. But my dollar is not worthless.
So the reason why it's not worthless is because of government decree that you have to use this, otherwise to pay for debts or
Okay.
you go to jail.
And is that going to change? Is Bitcoin going to become the accepted currency in the country? And if you didn't get in on the ground floor, aren't you kind of screwed then? You're going to live in poverty forever?
So it's not a inevitability. The way that
You are scaring me. This is not a good thing. This is bad. This is a Ponzi scheme.
So the thing is, I can empathize with feeling uncomfortable and fearful when you don't understand it.
But you're not helping me
Mhm.
understand it. I have a feeling that you're getting wealthy off of this. And that those of us who are not Bitcoin owners,
Mhm.
you want to see us wallowing in the depths of financial despair.
So I am doing my part to educate. If I wanted people to wallow in despair, I would keep the secret to
Okay,
myself.
so what do you want us to do? What if you were advising me?
Mhm.
I'm your sister now.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm your sister. You care deeply about me.
Yep.
You want to make sure I have financial security for the rest of my
Yeah,
life.
my sister actually does own Bitcoin.
So how do I do it?
So first, you have to have the correct mental model. I think the way that the most responsible way to look at it as an insurance product. Someone called it schmuck insurance. So then basically, there's not a lot of trust in government or central banks right now. And if there was to be another calamity, like in 2009, it's an insurance. It's an
I asked you how
insurance
I
policy.
get it.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
answering a
All right.
question I did not ask.
Okay, so the easiest way would be to go to an online exchange. It's just like a TD Ameritrade or Fidelity account where you connect your bank account and you just make a purchase of Bitcoin. So there's a
You
place.
did that?
Yeah. So a popular one is called Gemini.com or BitFlyerUSA.com. You can just connect your bank account and just purchase it like you do a
Tell me
savings bond.
again how, with all the open sourcing and everybody
Mm-hmm.
has access and everybody, it's just you walk right into the bank vault. How is it that this is not hackable?
It is theoretically hackable, but the way that it has been designed, there's this thing called mining, to where people volunteer their computing power, their laptops, to verify the transactions, and then the protocol rewards you in newly minted Bitcoin. So it is economically secure to where Bitcoin has more computing power than something like all the world's supercomputers combined, processing the ledger and protecting it. So people have an incentive to contribute computing power to the network as opposed to trying to
Okay.
hack it.
Here's the thing. So I'm your sister now,
Mhm.
and I've got, let's say, $100,000 in
Mhm.
my savings account. And I say, okay, I want 100,000 in Bitcoin. So I pay on one of these sites my $100,000. Where's that money go?
So that would go to a seller of Bitcoin. So basically, it's an exchange. It
Oh, this
combines.
is awful.
Oh no, it's just like a stock. So when you buy
So what is Bitcoin worth?
So I believe last time I checked, Bitcoin was around $13,000.
For one Bitcoin?
Yeah, at its height, it was at
All the
20,000.
Bitcoin that's out there now, what's the stated value?
So it's approximately 230 billion
Who
right now.
determines that value?
The market does. So basically, there's a set amount of Bitcoin, and people will exchange it at a certain price. So you take the price and you multiply.
So it's
it.
like a stock. It's just a name of a stock.
It's more like gold.
And you can buy things with it.
Yes. So
What?
people get
More
well.
Bitcoin?
The thing is that the most popular thing is people buy drugs on the dark web to get around kind of legal loopholes
Oh,
and stuff.
my.
But yeah, there's Microsoft accepts it, Overstock accepts it. So those are kind of like the more mainstream use cases. But
You are going to prison.
I don't think I am.
All right,
But
here's what we need. I'm out of time,
Uh-huh.
but I want to know more.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do some homework
Mhm.
and try to understand this a little bit better because it is a big damn deal. And then let's get back together because this is either something that is destined to be very good in our future or it's a devastating blow to our economic health. And I'm not sure which it is. I'm leaning toward the idea that people are going to go to prison and this thing is going to crash and it's going to hurt a lot of people. People who think they're really smart because they really understand the internet and technology and stuff like that. But it's all virtual. It's all a game. It's just a game. But I'm not certain of it. So will you come back and talk with us, and we'll do it for a little longer, and we'll see what knowledge I can bring to the discussion.
Anytime.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you so much. Because you're local. You can come into the studio with
Yep,
us, right?
yep.
Okay, terrific. I really appreciate it. Where would you suggest people go to do research on Bitcoin? Oh, come on.
No, well, there's a lot
That's
of
an easy
of
question.
places. So the ground zero is Twitter. There's this kind of subset called crypto Twitter. If you just do that hashtag, I think you can find some resources. The community is there. There's another website of a kind of a prominent person in the industry called it's called lopp.net. That's the website, lop.net.
Okay.
I believe it has a lot of history and resources that you can use to kind of understand the theoretical underpinnings of
Okay.
Bitcoin and the history.
All right. It was very nice of you to come in. I thank you. And I look forward to the next time. And the next time I won't be so nice.
No. Actually, this is exactly
I'm
what you
kidding.
should be doing. You should be skeptical with your money and be very skeptical of anybody that's claiming that they're trying to help you, because finance is a game.
And that's why you're hesitant to answer my questions, because you don't want to seem like a shark.
Well, no, I want to teach people best practices as to everybody's financial situation is different, and everybody will tell you what is in. They will tell you it's in your best interest, but a lot of times it's in their best interest. So you'd be very skeptical of anybody who's saying that they know what's right for you, especially if they don't even know who you are.
Kevin, thank you. It was nice to meet you, and we will talk again soon. Thanks again.
My pleasure, all mine, Pat.
Kevin Pham. I'm Pat Thurston. Stick with us. You're listening to KGO.
That was good. That was good. No, I'm usually around people that are drinking the Kool-Aid, so I think I was getting a little rusty there.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've heard of Bitcoin, but I really